Perspective Log X, Lakers-fandom. Before we get to the content, I would like to thank all my subscribers for your support. If you are not a subscriber, I invite you to support the channel, subscribe, and turn the notifications on. Thank you for your support. All right. Here we go live. Perspective Log X, Lakers-fandom. We are going to have AC in a few minutes. AC from LA Sports Live. That's why we have both of the logos there. So let's start. We're going to talk about the matchup tonight between the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. Kind of a remake of the NBA Western Conference Finals. And so one of the things right out of the bat, I don't know if you were elated with the last one. We got AC there. Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, brother. How are you?
I'm fine. Looking forward to that game, the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, it should be a good matchup tonight.
Yeah. There's a few matchups that are going to be interesting. What do you think about Kyle Kuzma last game? Because at least I thought when I saw that game, this is what people were waiting to see last year. Kuzma becoming that third guy. And I'm not saying that he's going to be like that all season long, but I think that game he was kind of like what that player everybody thought they were going to get last year. But, because of the injuries, the COVID, and all that kind of stuff, he got his game short. But, this season he looks like he's doing a lot better.
Yeah, I think, like you say, he's kind of, becoming the player, not necessarily the player that we wanted him to be, but he's finding a way to contribute every night.
Yeah.
And he's kind of in a unique situation for a player. Was he in his fourth year?
Mm-hmm.
And so now he just got his extension. He got his money, so there's a little bit of stress off of him.
Yeah.
But he's on a championship contender, and he's not starting. So that's, for a young player, that's kind of, in some instances, it could be kind of difficult for them to find a way to fit in. And I guess, really, man, we just have to kind of give the credit to him.
Yeah.
It seems that he's figured it out.
Yeah, and he was saying in an interview that he wants to concentrate in three things: being the best defender he can be, the best rebounder he can be, and something that I really like, and I saw that in the last game more than in other games, is that he said that he wanted to be not just stand in the corner waiting for the 3-point shot, but get inside and try to get offensive rebounds and paint, scoring on the paint, basically.
I think it's Kyle's. One thing you can't say about Kyle Kuzma is that he's not a dummy. He's seen, and not that this is LeBron James' fault, but certain things happen when you play on a team with LeBron James because they build a team a certain kind of way. And I think he's seen things that have happened to other players like Kevin Love or was a guy from the Miami Heat. They came from Toronto. Those guys had to Chris Bosh. Those guys had to really kind of like change their game quite a bit when they played with LeBron. And he's smart enough to see that his game has changed, but he just doesn't. He's smart enough to see. Look, shooting might not be his specialty, and he's improved on his 3-point shot, but he just want to make sure that he just expands on other parts of his game as well, and not kind of just get pigeonholed into this thing as known as being a shooter, because it's kind of like what happened with Kevin Love. People think, oh yeah, he's a shooter now. Who's a shooter? But you remember how Kevin Love played before he played with the Cleveland, man. He was in the paint.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. So that's kudos to Kyle Kuzma, because like I said before, man, he could have easily pouted and say, look, I need to start. I want to start. He could have demanded a trade to get out of there because I need to get, last year or even this year, he could say, hey, this is my contract year. I need to start. I know I can score 20 points a game in this league. And, but to his credit, he said, no, I'm going to remain on this championship level team, and I'm going to find other ways to contribute.
Yeah.
And he's done it. So, like again, man, hats off to Kyle Kuzma.
And what I remember, that the first player that called LeBron James when LeBron James got to the Lakers was Kyle Kuzma.
He was happy he didn't get traded. No, I'm just kidding. But look, when LeBron, you said when LeBron got to the Lakers?
Yeah, because Kyle Kuzma wanted to know how to better his diet and his exercise. So I think he saw LeBron James not as a guy who was going to displace him to a place, but actually a guy he could learn from a lot.
Yeah, it's just, again, like I said, Kyle Kuzma is not a dummy, man. LeBron James is coming to his team, arguably, one of the top 2 or 3 players ever to play this game, and he took the opportunity to, to be a sponge and try to learn from a player that a lot of people call the GOAT. So Kyle Kuzma, like I said, is a lot of things, but he's not a dummy. I know you follow his mother, and I do too, on Twitter. Yeah. And they're good people, man. They're good people. I don't know about all that dressing, the way he dressed and all that. I don't know about all that, bro. But he's a smart kid.
Yeah. Tonight he's got a matchup. He's got Michael Porter Jr., who I think he's going to be able to score on him, because I don't see Michael Porter Jr. as a defensive stopper, but it's going to be hard to guard, because Michael Porter Jr. is quick and crafty, and he can score from different areas. So Kuzma is going to have to put his defensive shoes, and it's going to be interesting. Maybe LeBron will guard Michael Porter Jr. at center point. But I'm for some reason I'm not too worried about that. And then there is matching the Joker with Gasol and Anthony Davis. What do you think about those matchups?
Gasol, AD, and the Joker, things worked out pretty well. In the first meeting of the season, Joker was not able to dominate. I was worried about that. because I
Yeah.
think he had just came off a game where he scored like 40 points, 45, 50, whatever it was.
Mhm.
And I was a little bit concerned about it, but Frank Vogel was able to put together a little defensive package or
Yeah.
strategy, and they pretty much kept the Joker in check. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes tonight. But as far as Kyle Kuzma and Michael Porter Jr., we'll see. You know, we're watching Kyle Kuzma this season, man. We're just watching him mature and blossom as a player, and it kind of started in the bubble where now he just realizes he has to kind of pick and choose his spots.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now we see that he doesn't force stuff. And
Yeah.
if he gets, like you say, if he gets opportunities against Michael Porter Jr., he'll take them.
Yeah.
If it's not a good look, he won't. And
Mhm.
that's just the way that's just the way his game is, the way he's playing this season, and
Yeah.
it's a good thing for the Lakers.
And I cat wants me to. Um. So one of the things is with Kuzma also is that he's now trying to he's more efficient, right? And his passing is better. They are still having problems with the passing game, the Lakers in general. But I think the same thing that last season. They are getting used to each other, but I think when the Lakers get that to a point like last year, I don't know if you remember that when they got to March, just before the hiatus, the Lakers were playing perfectly,
Right.
and
Right.
so I know it was going to be rough at the beginning, but it was more rough at the beginning of last season, I think.
For
Now they are,
definitely for Kuzma, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
definitely for Kuzma.
yeah, but I think these Lakers are once they get really, really used to each other, because if you see a lot of the passing game is between guys that are meeting each other for the first season. But I think in the second half, which we are pretty much now, uh, even though we haven't passed the All Star game, we're pretty much on the second half of the season.
Yeah, we're right at the about the halfway mark, and
Uh,
uh, you know, at first I would probably say that last year's team was maybe a little bit ahead of this team, at least record wise. Last
yeah,
year, at least yeah, record wise. But if you look at everything in totality, with them not really having a real training camp,
exactly, yeah,
hell, with them playing every other day, with them
and
having very little time practice, that they're doing pretty good, man, and
yeah,
they're definitely still getting used to each other, and the Lakers definitely have quote unquote issues, but
hmm
the bottom line is when you look at that record, we're only one game, out of first place, and we haven't played the Jazz yet, and so
yeah, yeah,
as far as I can see, we're looking, we're still looking pretty,
pretty
looking
good.
pretty good, looking pretty, man. I don't have a whole lot of complaints so far.
And even though last year we were number one on the Western Conference, the Lakers were still second overall at certain most of the season,
Right.
and now we are second overall, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm.
For sure.
So, mm,
I think overall they're one game. excuse me, 1 game behind Utah, and then there's the Lakers overall, and then I think maybe you got the Clippers and 76ers.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But the Lakers are sitting pretty, man. A lot of people complain, and myself included. I complain about stuff too, but
yeah.
all in all, the Lakers.
We're fans.
They're sitting right where they need to be, man. We're not.
Yeah.
Right where they need to be.
I am more calm. Like, the only thing that I was worried about in the last weeks was Anthony Davis. But now we know why. Now we know that, because I didn't see him jumping. I saw him flat-footed and all that kind of stuff, but it was his Achilles. So now he's looking a little bit more alive, right? But what do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, man. I got knocked off here. We knew something was going on. A lot of times, man, I just kind of look at the facial expressions on the players' faces, LeBron's and AD, and then you could tell AD was frustrated, irritated about certain things, and then you saw how sometimes when he would be in the paint, defensively, deep on the defensive side of the basketball, and certain players were just taking it right to him.
Yeah.
And it looked like he wasn't even jumping. And then and so now we find out, okay, man, there's an issue with his Achilles, and so that explains it. That explains why he's not jumping. That explains why he wasn't challenging certain players, and it explains why he was getting dunked on a couple of times. So we got our explanation. They set him a few games or whatever it was, and he came back, had a monster game.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like I have confidence in the Lakers, in their training staff, and I think that they know how to play it just right. I'm not really worried about any long-term issues with AD.
And I think Vogel is getting that team to start like putting everything together. I tell you, I don't see how. I mean, I know there's some scary teams like the Jazz now, and Clippers are getting really good, and the 76ers, but still, I see the Lakers over them. Everybody has a bad game, but I don't. I think the talent in this Lakers team is just overwhelming.
Well, it's just well, we haven't played the Jazz yet, but like at this time last season, we played the upper echelon teams, and sometimes in the first go around the Lakers lost.
Mm-hmm.
But even sometimes, when they lost, you look at the game and you look at the teams, and you just like, I don't think that team can beat the Lakers in a 7-game series.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter. Like, for example, last year with Milwaukee, the Lakers lost. It was the last game of that long road trip last season, and Giannis made all those 3-pointers, and Milwaukee beat the Lakers, in Milwaukee. But even though the Lakers lost that game, I said, okay, this is supposed to be the best team in the NBA. From what I see, I don't think they can beat the Lakers in a 7-game series.
And they have proved they can't even get to the finals.
Mm-hmm. And exactly, it turns out we were right. There was no team. There was no team that could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series, let alone take them 7 games.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to say that just yet. although that's how I pretty much feel. But until we play the Clippers again, and
Yeah.
until we play the Nets, you know, I'll kind of reserve judgment, until then.
Now that you mentioned that, something I do worry about is that the Lakers this year are less careful with the ball. They I see they have a lot of nonsense turnovers with lazy passes and dribbling the ball and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it's because, like what you said before, the lack of practice, the lack of playing together, preparing, and all that kind of stuff. They are a little bit reckless sometimes with the ball, and it's usually in the first 2 quarters of the game. Then they turn the gears and and take off.
Yeah, you know what, man? It's, you try to figure out this team, especially how they start games,
Yeah,
and specifically at home. And now I'm just kind of thinking, even going back to the bubble, right? When we went
yeah,
to the bubble last season, we had the first game against the Clippers. Okay, the Lakers are ready to go, and they
uh-huh.
beat the Clippers. After that, they didn't give a damn about any of those seeding games until we
Yeah,
got to the playoffs. And honestly, man, I really everything stops. I mean, everything starts and stops with this team with LeBron James, and I
mhm.
just really think that LeBron kind of has, I won't say lackadaisical, but they're just really not terribly concerned about the regular season, other than trying to, learn each other and gain chemistry or whatever. And of course, we have to win games along the way.
Yeah.
But it just, to me, now you tell me what you think. If I'm off basis with what I'm saying, is just like with this LeBron James led team and Anthony Davis, they just kind of like seem like they're going through the motions, and they're just not really. The regular season is important, but it's just this is not what they're here for. They're really here for the
Yeah,
playoffs and the finals.
yeah.
What do you think?
They wanna get there healthy. They have mentioned that. Vogel have mentioned that. Um, and the interesting thing is that even when you can see that LeBron is not making his best effort. He's still on the MVP race, and and and
Yeah,
you know, I was watching. I don't know what channel was, but they were saying that he right now is ahead on the voting for MVP.
could be, man. It's funny. Like you said, I was talking to my cousin the other day, and I'm just like, you know, how do you explain LeBron? Um, what he's able to do. And I said, man, look, I don't know. I don't want to call him a freak of nature. I just said, man, LeBron has found out the cheat code. Whatever the cheat code is to the NBA and longevity or whatever it is, he's found it out. Now, if other players knew what the cheat code was, would they be able to have the same success as LeBron James? I
Mhm.
don't think so, because the guy, he's a basketball junkie. He's a workout junkie. So this is what he does. I feel like even with this COVID season with fans, no fans, and every other day, I really think it favors a player like him,
Yeah.
because I don't think there's another player who's so locked in right
Uh-huh.
now,
Yeah.
and there's not another player right now as experienced as him. So to me, with this COVID, like I said, fans and no fans and whatever, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of really setting up good for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and lucky for us, he plays for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, and we don't know how the season's going to turn out, but I don't. The LA Lakers, do they have the player with the overall best? Who's the best number one talent in basketball? I
Uh-huh.
don't know, but I don't know, but they have the smartest player.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have the most. They have the most focused player,
Yeah.
and and I'll ride with him, man, and until somebody knocks us off.
Yeah. And uh, Magic. I compare LeBron to like beef up Magic, like Magic on steroids.
Yeah,
Because the thing with LeBron is like you said, because he's so smart, and he knows he can see where the play goes and all that. He's able to do to find everybody, anybody he wants to find on the court, he finds them. And the last game, I think the best play that I can remember is Kuzma gives the ball to LeBron, and LeBron, without looking, pass it bounce it back to perfectly to Anthony Davis for the dunk, and that was poetry, man. That was ballet. that was something
yeah,
that
and and how long have they been playing together? Only a year and a half, man.
yeah, yeah,
It,
yeah,
it's kind of scary, bro. It's kind of scary.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of scary.
And so yeah, he is more. He's more than a guy who can score. He really is. And I know that TV is trying to push the next guy. You know, who's going to be the next guy? Um, but it's going to be difficult for the next guy, not because LeBron is the best, but because LeBron has been the guy for so long. You know, in,
Right.
in
They were the last couple of years. They've been really kind of pushing Giannis, and then
yeah,
after what happened, after whatever happened in the playoffs, it's kind of like
yeah, yeah,
we can't do that no more. So now KD is back. KD's back playing, and
yeah,
Steph is back playing. Whatever. And then the Nets, but
yeah,
you know, LeBron James right now, he's the man
yeah.
until somebody knocks him off.
Yeah, and if you want to win a championship right now, you got to get through him. You got to get through him. And when the Lakers couldn't make the playoffs the first year that LeBron was, on in the team. I mean, the only reason the Lakers couldn't make these, they couldn't get to the playoffs was that everybody got injured. Like the nobody knew who Caruso was, and he had to get in and score almost like 40 points. It was 35 or something like that, 34 in a game. you know,
Yeah,
so
my theory on if people talk a lot of trash about LeBron's first season with the Lakers. A lot of people talk trash and say, "Oh, they didn't really make the playoffs." But look at what the Lakers were doing before the injury to LeBron James. I believe
uh-huh.
they were in fourth place
Yeah,
with essentially LeBron James and a bunch of kids.
exactly.
And the injury happened, And we all know now, after the fact, that LeBron was never really 100% healed from that injury.
Yeah.
He came back, but he really should have stayed out longer. And then we had the trade talks.
I think he came back because he didn't want to miss the playoffs, not because he was okay, but he couldn't do it. But he wasn't the only one. Kuzma, I think he was injured. Um, pretty much the whole young core was injured.
They were injured, and I'm a Lakers fan, and I'll just state my opinion. Pretty much what I believe is, and we've heard subsequently after the fact, interviews by Josh Hart, interviews by Lonzo Ball. Those guys pretty much quit after the AD trade talks. But everybody named Mama was going to get traded for AD. The young guys quit. Now, whether LeBron was 100% healthy or not, I don't know. But I kind of think, like you said, LeBron came back and said, "Look, I'm going to get to the playoffs." But when he's got a team full of kids who pretty much quit on him, the way I look at it is, he's just like, "Look, I'm gonna do what I can do, but I'm not gonna kill myself to try to drag this team through the playoffs when these guys are really not on board. I'll wait till next year."
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's just that's just the way I see it.
And you know what? In all the discussion that was about bringing one player for the whole young core and all that kind of stuff, if for those who think that their decision was bad or thought in that moment, look now where the Pelicans are and where the Lakers are. Another championship on on the Lakers, and on the way that possible number 18 also. So
yeah, I mean, we know this is you could say that would have been too much to give it for AD, but if you know basketball, you know this is a talent-driven league. Bottom line, brother. Bottom line, this is a talent-driven league, and Anthony Davis is a top 5, top 6 talent, and we don't even really need to talk about it anymore because they won the championship.
Exactly.
And they just failed all that talk.
And they might go for another one, maybe 3.
Right. Man, look, even if I wasn't a Lakers fan, and this is real talk, I would really say that you would have to say that the Lakers are the favorites this year. I mean, we haven't seen anything to signal or to say that they're not the favorites. I mean, even people like us will say, "Oh man, they probably need a center," but despite all that, they're still number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever overall defensively. Still, even without Dwight and JaVale. And remember, before the season started, we talked about that, and we talked about it and said, "Oh man, that might be a problem without the JaVale and Dwight." But we said, man, look, the defense is still going to be good, but it's just going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And this is what this is what happened, man. They're still up there.
Yeah. And there was a game, I can't remember which game, where Gasol had 4 blocks. So even though he's not the guy that he used to be, if you put the ball in front of him, he is gonna block it.
Well, the funny thing about it is we noticed, and I fell asleep on the last game, but I saw towards the end. We noticed something different with the rotations and stuff at the end of that game with Gasol.
Yeah.
Usually he don't get a sniff in the fourth quarter. And that game, we saw he was in there in crunch time. So I mean, the story hasn't been written quite yet. The Gasol story, it ain't over with yet.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think we agreed that there's going to be some changes to the story
Yeah.
before it's all over with.
Yeah.
But as of right now, let's still wait and see. Let's still wait and see what happens, because he was in that game late in the game. It's one of the first times I've seen that he was in the game late in the game, and he made a difference. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you think? How is the game gonna like? Do you have any predictions for the game tonight?
Well, tonight, I think it'll be a good close game. I don't think the Nuggets are going to appreciate, what happened to them. What happened to them last time when they got beat by like almost 20 points or whatever.
Yeah.
And the game will be in Denver tonight. So wait a minute. Yeah, the game is in Denver tonight. So we'll see, man. And to be honest with you, bro, I know I put on Facebook. You and I are not Facebook friends, but I said, but we got to be Facebook friends. But I put on Facebook. I said, look, man, I much prefer to watch Laker road games than home games, man, because
they have been doing better. Yeah. Yeah. Are you surprised that Denver hasn't been, like they have been struggling so much?
They made some changes, man, and look at when the Lakers played Detroit Pistons. They had a lot of problems with the Detroit Pistons, but who on the Pistons was giving them problems?
Yeah.
The kid from Denver, man, and that's I can't say that that's the one of the big problems for Denver, but they're missing. I believe they're missing Jeremy Grant.
Yeah. Did they get what's the guy he got for? They got somebody. I know that they got somebody that is not playing tonight.
I don't know. I didn't check the injury report for Denver, but I don't know. But if you had, of course, we know Joker is having a great year, but I really don't know. I haven't studied the Nuggets that much, but it seems like maybe Jamal Murray is not really, he's not playing to the level that he was playing in the bubble.
Yeah, that's been a struggle for him. I hope Shooter. I was gonna say something completely with no empathy for him. I was like, I hope Shooter takes advantage of that.
Hey man, Jamal Murray was one of the guys that was red hot in that bubble.
Yeah,
and a lot of the people on the networks are saying, look, man, a lot of these guys are going crazy in the bubble. They would not be doing this under normal circumstances. And I don't know what's going on with Jamal. He may very well may be hurt. He may maybe have some personal issues going on, but that's just something that I've seen that he's not really performing nowhere near to that level in the bubble. And I really think that like I said, the loss of Jeremy Grant is really hurting the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had a comment here. I had it up. Uh, Blade Ashley Hernandez, um, thanking us for the life.
No problem. No problem, man. It's hey, we don't mind, when we're sitting here talking about the world champion.
Yeah,
Back, let's not jinx it. Let's not jinx it. Let's not jinx it.
yeah. You know, it's. I don't see. You know, the position. The biggest. If I were to worry about something with this team, is pretty much, the center position. If we're playing somebody like a really tall center, like this guy from the Jazz, uh, I forgot his name,
Gobert.
Gobert, or the Joker, or Embiid, because if Marc Gasol gets in foul trouble, Anthony Davis is going to have to take that load, and I don't want Anthony Davis to be injured
Yeah.
against some of these guys.
So far, the way I see it, this is the way I see it. So far, the Lakers are 1-1, right, against the elite centers in the league. They lost 1-point game to the 76ers in a game where Anthony Davis was obviously, Marcus all got in foul trouble, and Anthony Davis was not himself. Okay, but when we played the Nuggets, we know what happened. The Nuggets got blown out, and was, for all intents and purposes, nullified. So, and historically, excuse my language, but Rudy Gobert is pretty much Anthony Davis's bitch. So I'm not really worried about. I'm not worried about the Jazz. But hey, but until we play them, we'll have to see how it goes this season. But historically speaking, Rudy Gobert has not been an issue for Anthony Davis.
I think the only upside that I've seen from the Jazz is, that they are making the 3-point shots on transition, but I don't see any much changes on their game. I mean, they are making the shots, but the times I've seen them playing, they are playing teams that they don't play defense against them. And
yeah, I think I can't remember right offhand, but I was looking at the Jazz and looking at their season, look at who they played. They beat the Clippers, right? They beat the Clippers. I think the Lakers lost to the Clippers. And but overall, I looked at all the teams that they played.
But that also
I want to say they kind of played a weaker schedule.
Yeah.
So I'm really not sold or concerned about the Jazz until we play them head to head. But if I'm not mistaken, man, and we can go back and look it up, if I'm not mistaken, the Jazz have played one of the weaker schedules so far.
And last year, the Jazz beat the Clippers early on too.
Oh yeah.
So it's not. Clippers are a team that you can't count on them to give you an exact measurement of what the other teams are, because they, for some reason,
right.
I mean, I've seen them losing 20 points advantages and not being able to recover after being dominated. So
look, the only way I'd be worried about the Jazz is if they had John Stockton and Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's the only time I would be even
Yeah,
remotely worried about the Jazz. Give me a
yeah.
break.
Do
Give
you
me a break.
remember? Do you remember that big center they had, Mark Eaton, who was the shot block leader for like 4 years?
Yeah, I remember him. Like I said, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Byron Russell. I
Yeah,
remember those teams pretty good because you know
yeah,
they beat the hell out the Lakers a couple times. So yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
kind of hard for me to unfortunately to remember that. But yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Eaton, he played with Karl Malone, but I don't remember for how many years. He was that big white guy with the beard that looked like a mountaineer.
Yeah, man, that was that was back in the '90s. But
Yeah,
uh, yeah, man, back in those days, the Utah Jazz is give the Lakers a hard time, man. Until I believe that was before they hired Phil Jackson.
yeah, yeah. And do you remember? I think they went twice to the finals against the Bulls, or was it
Right.
one? Twice,
hmm
right?
They
Yeah,
went twice, uh, 6 games, and twice they took the series 6 games um, against the Bulls. Those Jazz teams, man, they were a great team. They were
yeah,
a great team, and because Karl Malone is kind of universally, people kind of view him as an Adam Henry, but
yeah,
Karl Malone was a damn good player, bro.
yeah,
You don't get to be the second leading scorer in NBA history, being
yeah, yeah,
a poop butt. You
yeah,
you was a badass.
yeah,
Karl
yeah.
Malone, Karl Malone was an all time great man, all
Yeah.
time great player. Period.
I wish that with the Lakers he would have won that championship because he got to the finals, but he never got to the hump. Uh,
Yeah, that was unfortunate for him, man, because he's one of uh he's one of several players that really he's the number 2 all time leading scorer. Forget about how you feel about him personally, because I don't like him personally. But
mhm,
if he hadn't got hurt, you know, that
mhm.
season or in the playoffs or was right before the playoffs or whatever it was, I think the Lakers would have beat Detroit. But
Yeah,
he was hurt. Detroit won, and that's history. But uh, that was his one. That was his one chance. That
yeah,
he really should have. Against the Bulls, they were underdogs.
yeah.
But the Lakers, man, the Lakers were not underdogs. They should have beat the Pistons,
The Pistons. Yeah,
but didn't happen.
yeah,
Didn't
you know,
happen, man. Sucks.
yeah.
But that's just the way it is, man. So look, I got a question for you, man. We talked about it a little bit earlier
Uh-huh.
about the center position, and I know a lot of people are concerned about that. But here's my theory. I don't know what Palika's going to do, but it looks like going back to history of the last 2 seasons, he's made his big trade moves in the off season.
Yeah,
He's made the AD trade happened in the off season,
mhm,
and the shorter trade happened in the off season. Last year, when Rob ran everything by himself, he didn't make any changes at the trade deadline. Do
no.
you think? Do you think he's going to make any changes at the trade? Because that's about a month away.
I I
Uh,
I think he's gonna wait until the buyout. I think he's gonna do that unless he gets an offer that he can't refuse.
Right.
Like I don't know, a good, really good center for cheap, and he can send I don't know, McKinney and some other uh, maybe uh, Costas.
Yeah. I mean, people keep saying that the guy Drummond from Cleveland, they keep saying that he's gonna get bought out and go to the Nets. I'm like, why? Why did they say that? Why do they think he's gonna go to the Nets? Or is there something about that I don't know? Does he have ties with KD or
Yeah.
or Kyrie or I don't know. But
I, I,
why do people think he's gonna go to the Nets?
I think that a lot of the buyout talk was because they have now like too many centers. But who would you buy out? JaVale McGee or Drummond, who is your best guy right now? I mean, Detroit. Detroit. Cleveland is doing really good, but most of it is because of Drummond. Because
Right.
Drummond is one of those guys who is pretty much almost not unstoppable, and
Well,
he's having a great season.
look, Drummond, he's damn near a max player. I'm not saying he's one of the best players in the league, but if you look at his salary, he's almost making mid $20 million a year. So he's a good player. And
Yeah.
even if you look at that game when the Lakers played Cleveland, you saw what they did. They really tried to exploit the Lakers by going big, and it almost worked. But it didn't work. But Drummond, the Lakers ain't really got nothing for him. So, but if he was to come to the Lakers, I really do believe that he's not. He's more to me. He was more of an offensive player
Yeah.
than defensive. But I really do think that if he came to the Lakers, man.
And the thing about him is that he's a good rebounder. He's not like great, but he's a good rebounder. And then you have Drummond and Anthony Davis together, like 4 and 5. That's going to be such a difficult thing to guard. And if you combine Drummond and in Montrez, that's going to make Montrez's life easier and Drummond's life easier too.
Yeah.
But who would you trade for him?
Well, I wouldn't trade anybody for him. The only way I would sniff or bring him to the Lakers is via buyout, because I don't view him as a player that the Lakers would be able to keep long term, because he makes a lot of money and he's going to be a free agent. So I just don't see the Lakers trading for him. Would they go after him in the buyout? Most definitely. But I don't see the Lakers trading for him, man, because I don't know, man. You never know, because he's not an old. I think he's about the same age as AD, so he's not an old player. But I just didn't see him as a player that the Lakers would give up somebody like Kyle Kuzma or KCP for. But if you think about it, that's probably what it would cost. That's probably what it would cost, because just salary wise, they would have to trade, $20-some million worth of salary. So,
yeah, I don't see the Lakers doing that. Like if it
Right.
was Gasol and some other guy, uh, I would see that. But I think what this is what I think uh, Pelinka doing. I think he's going to, um, you know, he's going to be available to hear offers, but I think he's going to wait until the buyout market. But he's got the guy already. I don't think he's been in any team right now, which is Dredman, and that's the guy I would put as a backup center because what people don't know is that he's developing a 3-point shot,
Mm.
and
And you say he's not playing for any team right now?
I don't think so. I think the Lakers, if they get the mid level, uh, they can fill up that 15 spot because I mean
Right.
that 15 spot is open, and if they don't do that, I would just give a contract to Costas and let it be like 2 minutes or 5 minutes just there. Because what are you doing with that guy? What are we doing with him? He's not getting minutes to play, uh, and I prefer him fouling out. If I were Vogel, I would put him to and say, Costas, all I wanted you to do is to foul the heck out of everybody who gets in the middle. Try to block their shot. Even if you foul out, you are doing a great service to our team because it's not Marc Gasol fouling out,
I
and it's not AD fouling out.
I don't I don't even think Costas could do that right. Sorry to say, man, but you
I
were
mean,
right. I would say you were right 100%, brother. You were right 100% before anybody else. Going back to last year about THT, you were right. You called it. You hit the nail on the head. But Costas,
yeah, because he's not like if I were him with that
I don't know,
ability,
man. I don't know. I don't know.
because I seen him go like in the South Bay. I seen him block shots, going coast to coast, doing the Euro step like Giannis and all that kind of stuff. But it's not something that he does constantly. It's something that if the ball falls into his hands, he would do it. But and,
Oh man.
and I tell you, if he put some weight, he could be as almost as good as his brother. And he put on weight and he develops that killer attitude, that great players have. But there's no you don't there's no we lost him for a second. Probably he's coming back in but we don't have that. We don't have that. We haven't seen that from him. We haven't seen that, and I actually let me see if he comes back. But if he doesn't, while he does, make sure you go to LA Sports Live, subscribe, and there he's back. He's back. Now we got you back. uh, and so basically, because we are pretty much at the end of the.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, this guy is. I don't know. I don't think he's even going to be in the NBA next year. I don't think so. Because
K-Cock will be there, but I don't know
yeah,
about Costas, man. I mean, it's just I just don't know. And the thing about it is the Lakers, they have so many players that can play, but
yeah, yeah,
it just so happens we're on a championship team. K-Cock, he can play. McKinney, he can
yeah,
play.
yeah.
He, he's still a kid too. McKinney's still a kid too. He can play, but
And
Quinn Cook, I don't know. But Kaycock and McKinney, they could play. But it's just at this point in time with the Lakers, um, it's just not much room for them. And the Lakers have been pretty, you know, it, Laker fans, we just do not get it. We just do not understand. We just don't realize how lucky we are to have LeBron James.
yeah,
Because look, if you look at a lot of teams in the league, they're having so many problems with COVID, players missing games with COVID. And the Lakers, the only person who's missed time with COVID, I mean, Kaycock and Costas missed a game or two, and then uh Caruso through contact tracing, he missed a few games or whatever. But the Lakers have been lucky and they haven't. And I just really think, man, it's just because of the leadership with LeBron James.
yeah,
Everybody sees that he's focused. They
yeah,
know he's not out in the streets messing around. Everybody is focused on what they're
mhm,
doing, and it's because of him. It's because of him, man. I'm convinced of that.
yeah, yeah. Definitely, definitely. Um, but sometimes I get upset at players that have the ability. Like if I get a contract in the NBA, and I know his contract is not that big, but I would find a way to practice every day because if I'm going to be a professional player, I want to be the best professional player I can be. And I think one of the problems in the case of Costas, I don't want to talk that much about him, but he got a championship because he was in the right team, and he's enjoying a lot of the luxury life because he's got a brother that uh, uh, is one of the best paid players in the league, and and I
Look,
think
there might be some untapped talent in Costas, but he really needs to play. And the Lakers don't have a G League team,
yeah,
so
yeah.
he can't go down there and play. So
But you know how players like, for example, Kuzma. I remember last year he would stay after the game and start shooting the ball. Like those are players. Kobe did that. Those are players that if you know what they did, and I'm pretty sure in the league they talk about it between players. You know that if you are down in that list, why not do it? What are you going to lose with trying to be better player, with trying to develop other skills, like we were talking about Kuzma, how he's developing his defense, he's developing in different ways. That's not what Costas really want to do, and I don't know. He's gonna end up probably going back to playing Greece. I don't know. I
look,
don't know.
we saw it. We saw it with Caruso when he was a young player. We saw flashes.
Yeah,
We saw Kuzma the first year.
in summer league.
Yeah.
You say, what the hell? Well,
Yeah.
this kid can play.
Yeah.
This kid can play. He's the one who won the summer league championship for him, not Lonzo, because Lonzo was
Yeah.
hurt. So, but we we saw it with THT last year,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we just have we just haven't seen it with Costa. So
No, no.
it is what it is, bro.
And
It
and
is what
and
it is.
and he started okay last year in the G League, but then nothing happened after that. Like he had a good game where you thought, man, this guy could be like the next Greek freak, really. But and I tell you, he's got the ability. He doesn't have the strength, and he doesn't have the will. He doesn't have the heart, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, we are an hour and 6 minutes. So do we close it right here?
Yeah, that's good, man. My wife, she's got some
Yeah.
Valentine's dinner for me, man. So I'm gonna go in there and eat that, and
And
hopefully watch the game and
yeah.
see what's this one gonna be? 7 in a row, 8 in a row. I lose count, bro.
Yeah.
I don't even know the Lakers record, man.
I think it's gonna be the seven. I'm not sure now. Might be seven. But I'm not.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, you never know.
Uh-huh.
But you know, we're thinking the long haul, bro. These little
Yeah.
games here and there, man. I don't know about you, but it's like I'm not even gonna make a preview video.
Uh-huh.
Lakers versus Nuggets. Lakers. I might do one Jazz, but it's like, come on,
Yeah.
man. You know what we ready for. We know what
Yeah.
what we gunning for, bro. The playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
The playoffs.
but
Yeah.
but until then, you know, we'll ride it out, man. We'll ride it out.
Well, before we go, let's make sure that you guys check out LA Sports Live, subscribe, give him his videos a like. Usually, uh, he's the first one with all the news about pretty much everything sports in LA. So follow him. Uh, Subscribe to his channel and give him, pay a visit, pay
Yeah,
a visit, notifications, all that.
I appreciate it, my brother. I appreciate it. Been slacking off a little bit. It's a long season, you know, but we're still here, man. We still gonna just you and me both, man. We always gonna provide that great Laker coverage, man. We Laker fans, ride or
Yeah,
die,
yeah,
ride or die, man. Laker fans, and we ain't going nowhere, man. Because long as we got LeBron James, Anthony Davis,
we're doing, yeah,
yeah, we gonna be relevant. We're gonna be
yeah.
relevant. All
All
right, my
right,
brother. Have a good Valentine's Day, bro.
you too, you too,
All right, man. Take it
uh,
easy.
you too. Thank you.